less than we would usually do, and in the nighttime. And so just getting yourself ready for monitoring your own energy, monitoring your needs, modifying as needed. If you have a block or two close by, or even a small chair, that would probably help. You can have your mat if you want, but if you don't have a mat, that's okay too. If you have a blanket close by, that's great. And any other props that you might need for support for your practice. We're just gonna come back to our mats and stand right up on our feet. Okay. All right, so as you stand on your feet, just push your feet down into the ground. You don't even have to change anything at first, so just get into your body standing in a standing position. And just to challenge our minds a little bit this time, if you want to close your eyes, you can. We're going to start to imagine lifting up through the crown of the head. So I want you to imagine that the top of your head is like those spring flowers growing up for the sunshine, right? So you feel the warmth of the sun, regardless of what's actually happening outside. You feel the warmth of the sun, and you feel yourself drawn to it, magnetically reaching up to lengthen out your body, right? So that's going to change and shift your alignment right there. Just that sense of lifting up. Good, and then just take your shoulders up to your ears like you're gonna plug your ears with your shoulders. Squeeze them really, 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 really high. And then slowly roll them down and back. Just like that, just stretching your arms down along your sides and then turning your palms open towards the screen. Good, and then just keeping that top open as you rotate your wrists so that your palms can face your thighs. Yeah, so you feel the muscles starting to hug in towards the bones. You could take a breath in and then breathe out your mouth. And you might feel your belly swaddle in. You feel those deeper abdominal muscles engage. Once you've got that strength coming right here from the center, you can lengthen out your tailbone. You can feel the muscles working and the bones stacking in your legs. So as they find their natural alignment, they can come online all on their own in a way that uses the least amount of energy, only works what is necessary. Good, and if you lean a little bit forward into the balls of your feet, you will notice your leg muscles turning on even more. So noticing as they fire up. Good, we're gonna see if we can bring the sun this morning, but we're gonna use that Ujjayi pranayama. So Ujjayi breath, we worked on it last week, but I'm gonna give you a little refresher here from a standing position. So you can open up your mouth, and when you take a breath in, imagine you're making the sound of ah with your breath, or like you're shocked. And then as you breathe out, imagine you're trying to fog up a window and you say ha. All right, so when you take a breath in, it's like shock, like you don't have to be that dramatic. And then exhale. Good. Once you get the hang of that, you start to feel the sound and sensation of the breath along the back of your throat. Continue to do that, but start to close your mouth over the course of a couple of breath cycles. So the sound is the sound of maybe scuba diving. Some people say Darth Vader. I like the image of like floating in the ocean with your nose and mouth out. And you can hear the sound of your breath. Good. So that strong breath, thank you. I already have tea. It's okay. That strong breath pattern can come with you during your practice. And so step right up to the front of your mat. If you're already there, you're already in Tadasana, that's cool. If you want to find Tadasana again, remember maybe that image of lifting up through the crown of the head is helpful. Good, take a breath here, Ujjayi breath if you can, and as you take a breath in, you can lift up your arms. And then as you exhale, you can hinge yourself forward. We're gonna go breath by breath. If you don't get it the first time, that's okay. Inhale, lift halfway up. And then exhale, step your right leg back. Inhale, take your left foot with it. Exhale, try to avoid your cat as you come down onto your belly. Inhale, roll your shoulders and lift your heart. Exhale, up and back into downward dog. So taking your time, first downward dog, stretch out your legs a little bit by bicycling your heels. Really pressing the belly back towards the thighs. Good. Roll the weight in towards your inner hand. So right in towards your thumbs and your pointer fingers. Turn your elbow creases in towards each other and really press the belly back. Taking the weight out of your upper body and into your legs. Take one more breath like this. As you inhale, step your right foot forward in between your hands. And then as you exhale, let your left foot join it. Inhale, press your feet down to lift up like a reverse jackknife as you reach. And then exhale the hands together at the heart. We'll do that same sequence on the other side. So taking a breath in, lifting up. Exhale and hinge forward. Keep your knees nice and soft as you do this at first. Nice and soft. Fingers to the floor or hands to the shin. You can inhale, lift halfway up. Exhale, this time step your left leg. Inhale, take your right foot with it. Exhale, lower yourself down to the ground. You gotta watch out. Watch out. Inhale, lift your heart, press the tops of your feet, elbows in. Exhale, back and up into downward dog. And breathe. So you get 5 breaths here in downward dog. You might want to take a break. So maybe you go down to hands and knees. Maybe you go down to child's pose. Maybe you continue to bicycle the heels to stretch the backs of the legs. Listening in for that breath right at the back of your throat. Good. One more breath here. And then as you inhale, step your left foot forward. As you exhale, let your right foot join it. Press your feet down, soften your knees. Inhale like a reverse jackknife as you reach. Exhale the hands to the heart. Good. Give yourself a clearing breath right here in between. Take a breath in, lift yourself up. Reach up through the sides of the torso. Exhale and hinge yourself forward. Inhale, lift halfway up. Exhale, take your hands all the way down to the ground. Step your right foot back. Inhale, plank pose, Balasana. Exhale, lower yourself. There's more critters underneath me every time I try to lower myself down. So that inhale is the cobra pose. And the exhale is to downward dog. Again, you get 5 breaths here, so stay strong in downward dog or take a break if you need one. You might take a couple of rounds of cat-cow. That's okay. You might nod your head in that space between your arms to loosen up your neck some. Okay. Take one more breath there. As you inhale, step your right foot forward in between your hands. As you exhale, let the left foot forward. Put your feet down on the floor as you lift yourself up. Inhale. Exhale, hands together in front of the heart. Get yourself a clearing breath. You're right in between. Good. Begin again. Take a breath in. Lift up. Reach for the sunshine. Exhale and hinge yourself forward. Inhale, lift halfway up. Exhale, step your left foot back. Got that high lunge. Inhale, find plank pose. So right leg comes back too. Exhale, you bend your elbows back as you slowly lower yourself down to the ground. So the elbows are tucked right in by the side ribs here, spreading out through your fingers. Inhale, lift the heart. And then exhale, up and back into downward dog. Again, we're gonna get our 5 breaths here, so we're gonna have a chance to rest. Oh no, oh no. The cat got on the computer. Lulu, can you come get the cat? Oh my gosh. This is comedic. One more breath here in downward dog. Take a breath in, step your left foot forward.
Where is he?
Exhale, right foot joins it. Inhale, lift to halfway up. Exhale and fold. So enjoy the warmth of that sequence. Take a breath in, lift halfway up.
Come, Todd.
Exhale and fold. It's your shining space. Inhale, lift halfway up. Exhale and fold. This time we'll go all the way up, so press down through your feet as you inhale and lift all the way back up. Exhale, hands together in front of the heart. Good. Give yourself a couple of breaths here just to reacclimate. Find your breath, find your posture, reaching up through the crown of the head. Lots of space. Good. This time we're going to add in. So we're going to have a little bit of flourish in the middle of our sun salutation. Again, if you need to take a break at any point, you can. So starting out right at the top of your mat, taking a breath and lifting the arms up. Exhale, hinge yourself forward. These are still a little soft if they need to be. You can inhale, lift halfway up. And then exhale, right foot steps back. Inhale, the left foot joins it. Exhale, strong lower down to the earth. Elbows in by the side ribs. Spread out your fingers, spread out your toes. Inhale, lift the heart. Just a half a breath here. Exhale, up and back into downward dog. Good. Inhale, step your right foot forward. Press back through that left heel to lengthen out and strengthen the back of your left leg. Start to tuck your tailbone under a little bit and then lift your hands up away from the floor. So you might just go here, right? This might be the place that you stay or land. Maybe let your arms go along your sides and then take a breath in and lift your arms up. So lots of different options. If you need to move back or step back off of this, you can. Go back to that place where it felt doable. Beautiful. Take a breath in here. And then as you exhale, let your arms come down along your sides as you come into a diagonal line. You can just turn your palms up towards the ceiling. We're going to come into a balance pose here. So coming forward onto that right foot. Maybe starting out just with the left toes on the floor, slowly starting to lift up, flexing that left foot, reaching back through the fingers and forward through the crown of the head. Good, take a breath in here. And then as you exhale, step that left foot back, return the hands to the floor, and then come back up into downward dog. Good, you got your 5 breaths here, so you can take a break if you need one. Down to hands and knees, or down to child's pose, or even coming down onto the forearms just to take some of the pressure out of the wrists. I don't know if he's in right now.
Yes.
Downward dog.
Just give yourself one more breath like that. As you inhale, step your right foot forward. As you exhale, left foot joins it. Inhale all the way back up to stand. And then exhale, hands to the heart. Good. Take a breath in, lift right up. Exhale, hinge yourself forward. Inhale, lift halfway up. Exhale, step the left foot back. Exhale, step your left foot back. Now inhale. Inhale, inhale. Exhale, lower yourself down to the ground. Roll your shoulders up, around, and down your back. Inhale, open your heart. Good. Exhale, up and back into downward dog. You just got a half a breath here. As you inhale, step your left foot forward. So again, we're gonna come into that high lunge. So pressing back through your right heel, really to activate the back of your right leg. You can tuck your tailbone under a little bit as you start to lift yourself up. So this might be fine. You might just stay here, right? You can start to lift the front edges of the pelvis, drop the tailbone down, and then if it feels doable, you can lift your arms up. Good. Start to anchor yourself into that left foot. Because remember, that's going to be the place that stays anchored through this transition. Taking a breath in here. As you exhale, you can sweep your arms right back down into the line of your leg and your torso. You can turn your palms towards the ceiling and then take your weight into your left leg. So maybe you just keep your right toes on the ground at first. You might use a strong breath out the mouth to bring that strength in. Right at the middle. When you're ready, you can lift up your right leg. So reaching out strongly through your right heel, forward through the crown of the head. Smooth, steady breath, listening for it at the back of the throat. Beautiful. Take one more breath here. As you exhale, step that right foot back into the mat. Lower your hands down to the floor. Left leg comes back too, and you're back in downward dog. So have a breath here. Have 5 breaths. Have a rest if you need one. Good. Just take one more breath here. Inhale, step your left foot forward. Exhale, let the right foot join it. Inhale, come all the way up to stand. Exhale, hands down in front of the heart. Give yourself a breath here. Good. Keep that strength going as you inhale and lift up. Exhale, hinge yourself forward. Inhale, lift halfway up. Exhale, right leg steps back. Inhale, strong plank pose. You start to fatigue and you want to bring your knees down instead, you can. As you exhale, lower. Turn your feet over, press those pinky toes into the ground. Shoulders roll back, elbows in as you lift. Inhale. And then exhale, just a half a breath again here in downward dog. Good. As you inhale, step your right foot forward in between your hands. This time low lunge. So lower that left knee down. Turn the top of the left foot over. Let your hips get heavy as they stretch towards the ground. Beautiful. And then again, just like before, you can tuck your tailbone under a little bit. Start to lift the front hip points up as you come up. And you might rest your hands on your right thigh. Good. And you might stay here if this is feeling really comfortable for you, or you might let your left arm come down by your side. And so as you take a breath in, you can reach that left arm up. And as you take a breath out, you can ease off as you pull the left arm back. So just like that, breath by breath. Good, just one more time like that. So if you can, reaching that left arm up. As you exhale, this time let the arm go across the midline to the outside of your right knee. So one possibility is just to take that right hand onto the right hip and twist this way. If you want to go a little deeper into that twist, you could slide that left elbow to the outside of your right knee, Step your hands into prayer position and then turn to look over that right shoulder. Good, keep breathing. It can't hurt to feel that breath along the back of your throat, nice and strong to support your strong practice. Good, take a breath in here. As you exhale, turn to look down towards the floor. Return your hands to the floor. We're going up and back into downward dog. So you can land your left toes to the floor, left knee comes up, right leg steps back. You know you can take a break at this point. So you're in charge of your own practice. You're in charge of moderating your own energy. And if you're starting to fatigue, notice the patterns that the body goes into. So does your low back start to round as you start to press the legs open? Maybe you soften your knees a little bit more. If your arms are starting to give a little bit and your wrists are taking the weight, press in towards your thumbs and your pointer fingers. Lift up and out of your shoulders. Shoulder blades slide down the back. Good. Give it from wherever you are. One more breath. As you inhale, step your right foot forward. Exhale, left foot joins it. Inhale, come all the way up to stand. Exhale, hands to the heart. Good, give yourself a clearing breath. Yeah, so inhale, lift yourself up. Exhale, hinge yourself forward. Good, we're now using that heat that we're creating. So inhale, lift up. As you exhale, step your left foot back. Inhale, find that strength in plank pose. Good. Exhale, lower yourself down. Spread those toes. Inhale, lift the heart. Lengthen the neck. And then exhale, just a half a breath up and back into downward dog. Good. Inhale, step that left foot forward. And then exhale this time, lowering the right knee down, turning the top of the right foot over. And you might just hang out here again. Use the warmth of your practice, warming the body from the inside, letting the hips get heavy and hang. You might feel really good right here. You might want to stay here. That's totally okay. If you'd like, you can tuck your tailbone under a little bit more. Possibility to lift the front hip points, let the hands rest on the thigh. Good. And just keep breathing, noticing. Take it moment by moment. Good. You could stay here. You could let your hands stay resting, or you could come back down to the floor, or you can let that right arm go down by your side. And take a breath in. Lift that right arm up. Take a breath out. Pull it back. Good. Just like that, breath by breath. Good, again, we're gonna use that to lengthen out before we twist. So reaching up through the right hand as you inhale. As you exhale, go across the midline. So left hand to the outside of the right knee this time. Right hand might come onto the hip if that's comfortable. Maybe that's the twist that you want. So keeping the spine nice and long, twisting to look back towards that left shoulder. Maybe you go a little deeper here. So you can tuck that right elbow to the outside of the left knee. Hands stack into prayer position. As you turn to look up over your left shoulder. Good, and keep breathing. Inner thighs are turned on, nice and active. Strong breath. Good, take a breath in here. Exhale, turn to look down towards the floor. You can let your hands come back to the floor. Right toes to the floor, right knee comes up, left leg steps back. Here you are, back in downward dog. So taking your break. This is your rest, softening your knees. Press your bellies back into the thighs. Really squeeze that hip crease. Maybe take a little tiny tuck of your tailbone just to lengthen out your low back. Good, so as we get fatigued, we start to not only avoid our tension patterns, but also, so we do whatever we can to get out of those tension patterns. We exploit other areas of the body. We also exploit the places we're open. A lot of us are really easy with that sway back, really swaying the low back. So if you're like that, that little tuck of the tailbone can really lengthen out your low back. Take one more breath here. As you inhale, step the left foot forward. As you exhale, let your right foot join it. Let's enjoy that stretch for the backs of the legs again. So inhale, come halfway up. Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale and fold. Good. Take a breath in, lift halfway up. Knees are as bent as they need to be at this point. Exhale and fold. One more time like that. Exhale and fold. Beautiful. Plug your feet down, soften your knees again. Strong legs. Inhale, lift up. And then exhale, hands to the heart. Good. Get a clearing breath here. All right, so with this next round, make sure that you have a blanket close by. We're going to take ourselves through pigeon pose as we move through this sun salutation. So just taking a breath in, lifting yourself up. Exhale to hinge forward. Good. Inhale, lift halfway up. Exhale, step your right leg back. Inhale, left foot joins it, plank pose. If you need to modify, you can always have your knees and your feet down. Exhale, lower. Roll those shoulders up, around and down as you inhale and lift. And then just a half a breath. Exhale, up and back into downward dog. Good. Inhale, take your shoulders forward over the tops of your wrists. Take your right knee to the back of your right wrist and then pull that right foot out towards the left side. You're going to walk this left leg back. As you sit back into your hips, you're going to turn the top of the foot over. So if you got space underneath that right hip, which most of us are going to, you're going to take this blanket and put it underneath to fill in that space. Just making sure that it doesn't take you off balance. So make it just the right height so that you can still feel your hips squared towards the short end of your mat. All right, so with hands underneath the shoulders, a little tuck in the tailbone to lengthen the tailbone or the low back out. You can take a breath in here. And then as you exhale, turn to look across your right shoulder. Good. Give yourself a couple breaths like that, really to steer the hips towards the short end of your mat.
Mommy?
Hi, sweetie. Good. You can take a breath in and come right back through center. And then as you exhale, think about drawing your heart forward towards that short end of the mat. So you can walk yourself forward, slowly using your hands. You might come to that midpoint where you have forearms on the floor like a sphinx, and that might be the place that you rest. You want to make that a little more restful, maybe bend your elbows, let your head rest into your palms. And if you want to go all the way down, you can let your arms stack, head to arms, or maybe stretch the arms out, head to floor, or block. Good, so finding that perfect place.
Why did you do it? I already know who's the
You might experiment a little bit with Ujjayi breath and see if that helps, if that enhances your experience, if it helps you to tolerate the intensity in the right hip.
Crazy. My feet. I want it. I don't yes,
Then just give yourself a couple more breaths like this. Really relaxing every other part of the body as you just feel the intensity in the right hip. Let the weight of your body sink down to the ground with your last exhale. Good, and then inhale, your hands under your shoulders, slowly lift yourself up. You're gonna come back to downward dog. So to do that, pull your right knee forward, and then turn your right toes to the floor. You can step your left leg up and back into downward. And here you get 5 breaths. So you might take downward dog, you might take a couple rounds of cat-cow, or take child's pose if you need it.
This is fun, Mommy. This is fun. This is fun, Mommy.
All right, so you get 1 more breath here from downward dog, or hands and knees, or child's pose. As you inhale, step your right foot forward. As you exhale, let your left foot. Inhale, lift yourself halfway up. Press your feet down as you exhale and fold. Again, just using the speed in your body. Inhale, lift halfway up. Exhale and fold. 1 more time like that. Inhale, lift halfway up. Exhale and fold. All right, turn the leg muscles on. Press your feet down as you inhale. All the way up to stand, lifting the arms. Exhale, hands to the heart. Take a clearing breath. Good. Take a breath in, lift up. Exhale, hinge forward. Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, so fingertips to the ground or a block or your shins. Exhale, left leg steps back. Hands under the shoulders. Inhale, right leg joins it. Exhale, down to the floor. Inhale, cobra pose, elbows in by the side ribs. Exhale, just a half a breath up and back into downward dog. Inhale, step your left foot forward in between your hands. Oh no, excuse me. Take that left foot back. We're gonna take pigeon pose, sorry. As you take a breath in, you can take your shoulders over the tops of your wrists. You can take your left knee up behind your left wrist. Take your left foot out to the right side, keeping a flex in that left foot, and then cocking this face underneath your left hip. There you go. Goodbye. Turn the top, or walk your right leg back as you turn the top of your right foot over. Good. And then just letting your hands come underneath your shoulders. Take a breath in. As you exhale, turn to look across that left shoulder. Good. Take a couple breaths like that just to square your shoulder or your hips towards the short end of your mat.
Your back is...
Good. Take a breath in and come back up through center. And then think about drawing the heart forward as you exhale, lengthening out the spine. So the head is not going anywhere. It's the heart that's drawing forward. And maybe you come to that midpoint or all the way down to the ground. So finding that perfect place to hang in the pose. And maybe noticing the intensity going on in that left hip and maybe meeting it with that Ujjayi pranayama. All right, give yourself just a couple more breaths. And with that second exhale, let your body really sink down. And then let your hands come under your shoulders as you inhale, lift up, little tuck of the tailbone. You're gonna pull that right leg forward, turn your right toes to the floor, move your blanket out of the way, and then step your left leg up and back into downward dog. So here you get your 5 breaths.
Hey, Mom.
Again, making sure to pay attention to those parts of the body that kind of get exploited or moved into when we're tired or fatigued. So if you need to come down on your forearms, you could. Take the weight off of your wrists. Soften your knees or start to press the backs of the legs towards straight. Good. Give it one more breath like this. And then as you inhale, step your left foot forward.
Mommy, you're too big.
As you exhale, let the right foot join it. Let's do those folds again here just to exploit that warmth. Inhale, lift halfway up. Exhale and fold. Good. Inhale, lift halfway up. Exhale and fold. Good. Inhale, lift halfway up. Exhale and fold. Let your hands come all the way to the ground. So if you need to bend your knees as much as you can to do that, you can. And then step back, your right knee to the floor, your left knee to the floor so that you're on hands and knees. And then from there, taking a breath in, as you exhale, pressing into the floor around your back. Inhale, reverse that, lifting the tailbone, the heart, and the chin. Just like that, breath by breath. Good. Start to stretch a little bit more into your low back. So as you exhale and round, start to pull your hips back towards your heels. You can bend your elbows as you inhale, come back up to cow pose. And as you exhale, round your back, stretch like a cat as you pull the hips back. Just like that, breath by breath. Stretching both sides of your spine.
Mama.
Hi.
You said cat.
I did say cat.
Cat, not the
As you take it back, one breath at a time, you might get to the point where you're like, okay, I'm just gonna stay there this time. Totally okay. Taking your hips all the way back to your heels, letting your head come down to the floor or onto your arms.
Okay. Ow, ow.
So you can stay in that resting position for as long as that feels good. And then when you're ready, you can come into a seated position. So taking a blanket or a pillow or something underneath your hips. Making sure to switch your legs every once in a while so that non-dominant leg and front are on top. Oops, oh, that one's got water in it, or tea. Good, and sitting right up nice and tall again, imagine the crown of the head being drawn up towards the ceiling. Stretch your arms right around behind you and interlace your fingers. And just press your arms towards straight. Again, exploit that warmth. We've created that warmth, that heat from the inside of our bodies. So we're going to use that heat to stretch out the shoulders, the chest, upper back. Uh-oh. And you might lift your hands up away from your low back, clear some space there. And when you're doing that, you might even want to move a little bit from side to side and feel how that feels, kind of flossing out the shoulder blades. Good. Coming right back to the center, take a breath in. And then as you exhale, release, take your hands around to the front like you got a big ball in front of you. Cave back, round your back, drop your chin to your chest.
Oh, what is spelled right there?
Good. Take a breath in and sit up nice and tall. Crown of the head reaches, reaches, reaches. You can interlace your fingers. Interlace your fingers and press your palms. Good. Press your sits bones down as you take a breath in and lift your arms up. Good. Take a breath in here. And then as you exhale, relax just your right hand down to the floor. As you stretch over to the right side. Take a breath in. Both arms reach up. Exhale. I'm fighting for the spotlight here to the left. Inhale out through the center. Exhale to right. So just like that, breath by breath.
Mommy,
All right, so even yourself out. So last place that you go is over to the left, and then we're going to use that as a way to move into a twist. You can sit next to me and do the same thing. So as you inhale, reach up through that right hand. Let it come around behind you, back behind your right hip. Left arm goes across the midline, grabs the outside of the knee, and then moving into that twist, looking across that right shoulder.
I want to try.
Good. Take a breath in. Leave that left hand where it is. Exhale, unwind back through the center. Left hand stays to the outside of the knee. As you inhale, lift your right arm up and then stretch over to the left side. Good. Keep breathing. Breath is good. Good. Take a breath in, lift that right arm up. Leave your left hand where it is, but let your right arm cross over the left arm so that your fingers can go to your opposite legs, fingertips down, and then round your back again, dropping your chin into your chest. Good. Keep your elbows crossed, but release your hands as you take a breath in and sit up. You can bend your elbows, press your arms back in towards each other. Take Garudasana arms. So left fingers wind into the right palm if that's there for you, or you could just press your forearms back in towards each other. Once you have your arms, upper arms linked, you can spread your shoulders out and down.
Fun, Mommy.
Good. You can take your fingers up a little bit higher for these last couple of breaths. And then exhale, release, unwind your arms, let your hands come down on either side of your hips. Take a breath and lift your arms up. As you exhale, let the right hand come down as you stretch over to the right. We're going to go into a twist towards the left side. So inhale the left arm up, around, and back behind your left hip. Gentle hands. Right arm across the midline to the outside of the knee. Good. Think about lifting up your heart, lifting up under your collarbones. Getting that space and length in your spine as you twist. All right, so this time when we make the transition, we're gonna keep our right hand at the outside of the left knee. Take a breath in. Exhale, unwind back through the center. Inhale, lift that left arm up, and then exhale, stretch over to the right. Good, take a breath in, sit up nice and tall, reach that left arm up. This time, X marks the spot. So left arm over the top of the right arm, hands to opposite knees, fingertips to the legs. Use that length in your spine to round yourself forward. Drop your chin into that space between your arms. Round your back. Good. So leave your elbows crossed, but take a breath and lift your hands up. You can bend your elbows, press your forearms back in towards each other. Once you press your arms together, you can spread your shoulders out and down. Good. Last couple of breaths, you might lift your hands up a little bit higher. And then as you exhale, you can unwind your arms, let your hands come to rest in your lap. Take a couple of breaths here, maybe closing down the eyes just to check in with your body. So figuring out what your body needs to release. So you might roll the wrists a little bit. Maybe you have another stretch or pose in mind that you'd like to do. And we're starting to make our way towards relaxation. So whenever you're ready to make your way towards the ground, you can, by taking any extra stretches, pauses that you might need. And then once you're ready to relax, just letting yourself come down to the ground. Take the supplies that you need, blanket, bolster, eye pillow. Letting yourself stretch out on the floor. It can feel really nice to take a nice long stretch before you relax. So you might want to reach from your fingers all the way down to your toes. And then when you exhale, you can let your arms settle down by your sides. If it feels comfortable, you can turn your palms open all the way to the thumbs. Drop that thumb knuckle down to the ground. And then just relax. Soften the gesture of the hands. Good. These are all possibilities. So making sure that this pose, just like every other pose, suits your body, your mood. Maybe closing the eyes, or maybe the gaze is soft. And with every breath in, you can feel your whole body. And with every breath out, you release tension, stress, the workload of your practice. Good. Notice the blessings of your practice as you breathe in. Celebrate them with gratitude as you breathe out. And so slowly, every cell just vibrating with gratitude and honor. Cleansed of stress and toxins and tension. This is a time to integrate your practice, to do nothing but rest. So it's okay just to let go.
You come with us? Come with us, Mama. Look, you can have me on here. It's time to bed.
So just starting to deepen your breath. It's okay to move slowly, but you might want to stretch your arms back up again overhead. Maybe that nice full body stretch might feel good again. You can roll your wrists a little bit, move your feet from side to side.
Get up and do exercises.
And then when you're ready, you can start to bring
Exercise.
one knee at a time in towards your belly.
Yes, do exercise, little buddy. Yes, do exercise.
And then rolling over to your side and using a strong hand to just come back up to a seated position. This time when you come up to a seated position, you can take your hands together in front of your heart. Good. So we have created energy. We have awakened our consciousness through our practice. That's what sun salutations are about. They're about waking us up. And so taking that to heart and just imagining what you can do with that. So how would you like to funnel the energy of your practice? Good. So what would that next right step be? Just that, just the next right step. Good. And then just pressing your knuckles in towards your heart. You can bow your chin down to your chest and then gently blink your eyes open into your fingertips. And then stack your head on top of your spine. Namaste.
There's those people.
Namaste.
Hi. Namaste.
Namaste.
I was muted. I got my exercise.
Like, I don't even know where she gets that word from, because like that's not a word that I ever use to associate with yoga. I'm so glad